Do we have a motion as it relates to the minutes?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Jones, seconded by Mrs. Jones on the minutes.
I got the thing.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I do.
All right, so those minutes pass from May 5th. The only item on our agenda today is the resolution of the commission establishing the Abernathy Field Airport Authority. Everyone has received a copy of this resolution over a week ago. Has anyone not seen it? Okay. I would entertain a motion as to that resolution. Mr. Brown?
Yep.
I will second. Okay, let's start with questions. What questions do we have about this? And just as a reminder, the minutes that were just approved reflect that we've already voted to create an airport authority. That vote was 6-1, Ms. Jones voting no. But again, we're now running it through public service again, now that there's a formal resolution, and now that the city, who has the other half of the ownership of the airport, has passed a similar resolution to create it, to also create this airport authority. So, we'll open it up for questions or comments.
Can I make that a
Yeah, Mr. Stowe, please.
Okay. First thing I want to say on the airport authority is some people have made it into like a personality-driven thing. That's not what this is. Okay, this is an accountability thing. In 1987, the county commission approved the airport authority. And I checked with the county attorney, and I think you all know that resolution is still on the books. Really what you're doing in considering this referendum resolution is are you going to affirm it, or are you going to implement it? In 1987, the county recognized that we needed a county airport authority. The city voted no. And in the aftermath of that, in 1987, the city basically took on responsibility of managing the airport. And the county, I don't have all the history and I haven't talked to any commissioners who were involved, but we basically abdicated our management responsibility to the city. And we paid 50% of the costs, and the city managed it with the airport manager. Okay, well and good. There's been a number of airport advisory boards over the years that have attempted to get some financial accountability and some answers to questions that came from this commission. I've gone through committee minutes of this very committee that have repeatedly asked for financial information as to how the airport is managed, and you were repeatedly rebuffed. So we're not dealing with a new issue here. And the one thing I'll just, last little preliminary, is that, are you familiar with the OODA loop? Okay, this came out of World War II combat aviation, but it's now in business. It's used widely in business and leadership. The OODA loop is the way that we make decisions and the way that we act or not. Okay, the OODA loop is this is what the guy learned when he was in combat aviation. You observe and you orient yourself to the facts that you learn from what you observe, and then you decide, and then you act. And that sounds very commonsensical, but that's what allowed this guy to be a fighter ace, and he taught lots of other people how to do it, and that's how we make good decisions. Well, the one thing that frustrates me about this commission, and it's frustrating all of you, it's not just me, we're really good at observing, and we're really good at orienting. We suck at deciding and acting. We need, after all these different committees who've recommended an authority back to 1987, how about we just make it happen? The city's already made it happen, and all the questions that you've had in the past have answers, and we can get answers. The county should have a role in managing the airport, and what you're doing with an airport authority is delegating that responsibility to this authority of five people, and they would be accountable to you, and they would be accountable to the people of Giles County, and you would probably get monthly or quarterly reports on the revenues, on the expenditures, and how much more investment you might need to do, or not as much if the revenues can help support the airport. So that's the purpose behind the airport authority. If there's any questions on that, there's also a paper I wrote on this that's on the website. So it's there for you all and it's there for the public. Thank you.
And I think that paper has also been translated into an article that was run in the paper, right?
Well, I wrote one last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some overlap, maybe it's not all the same ones, but there's plenty of information on that position. One observation I will point out, because I've seen a lot of, I guess, public jumping to conclusions about what this must be about, that I don't agree with, that this is somehow an attempt to get rid of an airport manager. My understanding, based on this resolution and based on just conversations we've all had, including the May 5th meeting, no one is trying to get rid of the airport manager. In fact, the airport authority would rely heavily on the airport manager and his duties and their relationship. So this is not, by my understanding, someone tell me if I'm wrong, this is not an attempt to replace an airport manager with an authority. It's to have an authority that works with the airport manager. And even by a show of hands, is anyone under the impression that this is an attempt to get rid of the airport manager? I'm not seeing any hands.
I would like to address that.
Okay. Ms. Johns, and then we had a member of the public.
The information that was presented in our last meeting, the questionnaire that Mr. Rowe read from, questionnaire answers, there was a lot of misinformation in there, whether on purpose or they just didn't really talk about it, I don't know. But when you don't put the man that knows the most about the airport on this board, then you don't really want to know too much about the airport. And as far as transparency goes, last term, we asked for, an accounting of the expenses, and we got it. I mean, it's not like it's a secret, we get that if we want it. But I have seen Roy Briggs, Chastity Hobbs, Dr. Fife, Ms. Racy, and now I think Randy come under, maybe some ulterior motives. And I have stood up for most all of those. And I know y'all think because Randy's my brother-in-law that I'm standing up for him as well, and that's the only reason. But I like for my decisions to be based on truth. And it's been pretty loose with the truth. And so, I think if you started out saying, we want a board that's going to help bring together some information so that whoever follows Randy at the airport, you all know he's been very, had it not been for Randy, we wouldn't have much in the airport, y'all know that. And if you're really concerned about who's going to be his successor, he's got big shoes to fill. He would be on here, he would have been kept out of the meetings, he would have been in an advisory capacity. But yes, I question the motives behind this.
Mr. Savage.
Dale, and this question, whether you can answer or not, is fine. I don't know enough to disagree or agree with your points. My question to you would be then, how does this airport authority board hurt it? If it is ulterior motives to get rid of him, what does this board do that would harm him?
Well, when you start with prefaces that are untrue, how does that help? You have to build on truth, and you don't have much. I mean, it's the motives I am questioning because of what was presented.
No, I understand that.
I don't
But
think.
what I am saying is whether the board was created, whatever motives the board was created for, what does the board specifically do that would hurt him in any way? That's my question.
I guess it
Whether
depends.
their report was good or bad, what does the board do that would harm
I
him?
guess it depends on who the appointees are. And whether there's,
What they plan
Some
to do,
unknown
what they plan to
motives,
do.
yeah. And leaving the main one out, who knows about the airport, Randy. I don't see that they're a real genuine concern.
I'm gonna get you, I would like to get the commissioners
Absolutely.
started, and, you know, maybe it ends up answering some of your questions. Ms. Woodard?
Great, why was Randy not put on the board?
Well, no appointments have been made at this point.
Well, I know, but it's just said conditions because they on the board. But why would Randy not be on there?
I do believe there is a citizen position anticipated as well. but- Yeah, Dr. Lecter, please.
I think you're asking about the advisory board. The advisory board was formed to gather information and give advice and report to the commission what our findings and thoughts were. Now, Randy was not on that board. The airport advisory is what we recommended, that we make an airport advisory board so that the county can co-manage the airport. The owners of the airport is the city and the county. And since 1987, I believe the county has had no say in the implementation of how the airport is run. The city has been in charge of that. There has been no transparency. We do not get any real reports. I mean, Gail says, oh, we get reports. Well, a half page saying, okay, we got this expense is not accountability. And I think if you look at our budgets, you'll see that the accountants can break this thing down a lot more. Now, being the owners, the city and the county, Randy is an employee of the city. He is not an employee of the county. So if the city did not want their employee to participate, that's the city's decision. The county had nothing to do with blocking him from being there. As a matter of fact, do we seek his input? I know Randy personally. I talk to Randy quite often. It's not hard to get his opinion, and I have got his opinion. So there you go. But is it usual for the owner of a facility to ask their employee to sit on their board? I don't know, is it? I don't see it very often.
I don't think there's any question about Mr. Randy Jones's contribution and service to making the airport what it is today. Ms. Woodard.
How does Randy feel about it?
I think Randy, you'd have to ask him. I'm not, if you're asking my opinion on how he feels about it, he probably feels threatened, but I don't understand why. Why would he be threatened? Because we want to do stuff to help improve it. From my perspective, Randy should see this as an opportunity to work with us to do what's best for the city and the county and the airport.
I think he's
If he
done that.
feels otherwise, I guess you'll have to ask him, why does he feel this way?
Well, I know that his son's opinion may not hold as much weight, but his son has communicated to me that with his involvement, he would be totally willing to help us with the long-term plan. In other words, I think he knows that at some point he's gonna wanna retire, or, you know, that's only logical, right? And I think it's only logical for us to be looking ahead as well, so we expect his input, want it, welcome it, all those things. Mr. Jones?
I'd like to ask you and David, as chair and chair, was he notified of this today?
Yes, sir. He had, I invited him last week, and he said he had flights already scheduled, so he's a busy man. But yes, he was asked to attend.
Thank you.
Ms. Woodard,
But
again.
was this any kind of threat of this job?
No, ma'am.
No, it's written into the resolution. And, you know, don't forget, I mean, the context has already been set too, but, you know, the city had a hearing on this, and the council voted unanimously to approve it. I don't know if Mr. Jones was intentionally invited to that meeting or not, but, you know, that's who he's had the closest working relationship with throughout, since 1987, it's the city. I mean, if he's got any major rebuttal, you would think it would come up at the city meeting.
Ms. Guthrie's next. I will say, the other point of contention I've noticed online was we can't afford this. I'm not quite sure what expense we actually anticipate with the creation of an airport authority. The resolution before us says that any commissioner serving would be serving in an uncompensated capacity. So I don't quite understand that pushback, but I'm at least trying to put it on the table today as, by my understanding,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, go ahead.
Just a point of clarification, the way this is written, a sitting county commissioner cannot be a commissioner on the airport authority. So they're talking about two different commissioners when they say that on this resolution.
Okay. No, thank you.
Just to clarify.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Remind me your name, I'm sorry.
I'm Bruce Heath, okay?
Oh, yes, sir.
And I don't know anybody in this room really, because I knew you there 5 years. So I'm here as a taxpayer, all right? But I have a lot of experience in aviation. And so I've been trying to follow this budget, and since I got a copy of the appraisal in 2024 and the 16 point whatever in 2025, and since I paid cash for my house and property, you know, I don't wanna keep paying on it. So, don't think that I'm not for an advisory committee. I'm not here from a negative point. But I just listened, and it was an eye-opener, and I'll just throw this out here. You have a lot of taxpayer constituents, there's a lot of misinformation out there, but if you just sit through this meeting I sit through, you would learn a lot. And the young lady or the lady that spoke about finance, and she just wished people knew that, I really think you ought to take a resolution, and I'll be at your 17th meeting also, where you hold your county commission meetings in the evening when the working taxpayer can be there. Okay, I'm getting off the subject, but I just want to throw this out since I have some leadership in here. That would put a lot of what you're seeing to bed, okay? Because Facebook can work for you or can work against you. Anyway, I'll just throw that out there, and I plan on making that statement on the 17th. And a couple other ones, so it's giving you some heartburn. But let's talk about airport advisories. Do you have the money? I'm not against an airport advisory, okay? You've got a great little airport out there. Can I see a show of hands of people in here who's been to the airport? Great, great. I didn't think that was the case, okay? And I don't know Mr. Jones personally, however, I have met him before I came and talked with him. And he's done a lot of work out there. And it's a detriment to him because it's been his life for 54 years. 54 years, and I'm sure his children can attest to that. I got a little bit of his past history. So obviously, if he feels threatened, then you're gonna have a problem. Mr. Jones is 4 years older than me. We walk alike, okay? But I can tell you right now, I've got 6,500 plus hours and multiple aircraft, multiple type rates, okay? I just don't fly anymore. I didn't have a level fly, you paid the bills. But anyway, airport advisory. So we just talked about the budget. Do you have a budget for an airport advisory? Are you familiar with Tennessee TC 42?
Yes.
Since you, and I figured you would, because you come off the advisory board. Dr. Walter, I believe it is, did commission stuff. And there's a lot of good things there on that advisory committee, but just to talk about a few things. So we have an individual out here at 79 years old, who's working 60, 70, 80 hours a week for 54 years because that's his life. Put a lot of manual labor and mental labor into that. And he gets $36,925 a year, plus city benefits. Now, his 1987 contract allows him to get the profit off the fuel cells. Got JP4 out there, or Jet A, and he's got the gasoline, okay?
And hang rental.
and hangar rental, and we're gonna talk about that. Cause I did an estimate, and I just wanna throw it out here, and since, I understand you have an airplane.
May I address this?
Yes, sir.
And I understand, I think everybody understands that. However, there are things probably that you don't understand.
I guarantee there are.
Yeah. One is, you know, as you said, we get financials, there's hangar rent, there's fuel sales. Do we get any detailed accounting of that? The answer is.
Probably no.
Whoa, no, but the thing is, that is compensation that goes to the airport manager, and he adamantly
Absolutely.
refuses to share that.
And I hadn't got to
Now,
that
the airport, he also collects hangar rents and tells us this is how much we make, but there is no accounting of that. Now, who owns the airport?
yet. The county and the city,
Who owns the hangars?
the county and the city,
Who owns the fuel funds?
the county and the city.
And how much income does the county and the city reap on their investment
None.
in these structures?
None, none,
Yes.
none, but I'm not finished yet. I'm just talking.
I know you're not, but I think the question
Could he
is,
finish? Could he finish?
well, we're limited to 5 minutes, so
Oh,
I think.
I've already got my 5 minutes, and you sure hate for me to put it on Facebook.
Well, that's true.
But I won't take up much more of your time, but let's talk about cost. That's what I'm here for, cost. I got nothing against an airport advisory, okay? Now, is the county and the city willing to give up all control of that airport to the airport authority? Because under TC 142, the airport authority controls that airport to include its revenue, its liabilities, it can sue, it can be countersued, it can do, condemnation to get more property, but you don't have enough out there to expand anyway. But anyway, I throw that out there. Now let's look at the airport manager. Let's say Mr. Jones quits, that's his business. He quits, it's gonna take you to get another airport manager to manage a county airport that size, we'll say $65,000. That's in the middle. Now, they're gonna have 3, 4, maybe 5 employees. Okay? Now, you as the airport authority, and I'm assuming you'll be on it.
No.
Oh, you don't wanna be on it? I wasn't
No,
wanna
I
be on it either.
can't because I'm
A commissioner, well, actually you can. A commissioner or a former commissioner can be on it, but you can't receive any pay by Tennessee law. So when the county says they'll be free, the county's not giving me anything as a citizen because the state said you can't charge for that labor. Done. Okay? Now, I just want to be clear with that. So now we've got another manager at $65,000 plus benefits. We're gonna hire another 3 or 4 employees. You guys are, or whoever's on the airport authority. Plus benefits. So now we're talking about another, what, $150,000, $200,000 annually just for labor. Okay? Now, I don't know what the airport rents their stuff out there for. You got the one man, bless his heart, and I'm defending him from that standpoint. That's a detriment to him that he made his whole life that. But the county and city, you know, it's a personal thing. I'm sure that he feels the county and city owes him something for all the hours and the time he put in. That's not for me to determine. I'm just looking at the cost. The initial cost right now, how long does it take to get an airport authority, a viable airport authority with funding that stood up?
So if you want an answer to that question, it would take 2 or 3 months because we'd have to file paperwork with the Secretary of State because they incorporate, the airport authority incorporates. And once they're incorporated, their budget would be basically what currently exists from the city and the county. and the commissioners who serve on the airport authority are not paid.
Absolutely.
So this is very similar to the model of the E911 board.
You
The
would
emergency
take
communications.
approximately 18 months to get, 18 months, approximately.
For what?
For a full airport authority to be established. And I'll challenge you and speak with you about that if you want to, and give you the references. Because of the time constraints. 60 to 90 days here, 60 to 90 days here, 60 to 90 days here, before the whole advisory is put in place.
That's why the resolution is specific, that the existing management would be sustained while the airport authority is being set.
Yeah, I got you. I'm just throwing this out here because there's a whole committee sitting here, and we're looking at what it's gonna cost the county and what we've gotta go through. So just because the county says and the city says we got an airport authority on 1 January 2025, doesn't really mean that you have an authority. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, it does. I mean, what it means is that the county then has some authority over its airport. on
No,
behalf
the
of-
airport authority does.
Well, through the commissioners that it has appointed. Now, come on now, you gotta be fair. The people
My
are
5
represented,
minutes is over. I see you running your lips.
the people are represented, and the commission is represented by the two appointees that they put on that airport.
Yeah, I got you. And so you're gonna have 5, 2 from the city, 2 from, I don't know who all, have you made up your decisions?
Well, not until we have a decision on an airport authority. I wouldn't waste my
Oh,
time.
yeah, but you know you're gonna get a decision on the airport authority.
We'll go to Ms. Guthrie next.
I don't think there's anybody in this room that hates the way this has been framed more than me. Because I'm like part family to Randy Jones. I love Randy Paul, Leah, and I am not trying to get Randy fired. I'm not against Randy. I see him has done a great job, but I also see him as 79. And, you know, I don't think it's a bad thing to plan for the future. Now, I don't know if, I guess, could Randy be put on the board?
On the airport authority?
Uh-huh,
No, because he'd be
Normally
an
not.
employee of the airport.
Excuse me.
okay.
Normally.
So how much is the airport authority, how much would that cost the county?
Well, the airport authority budget would be the same as what the county contribution is now, it just wouldn't be managed by the city.
By my recollection, it's $70,000.
That's roughly.
Just our half.
I believe 70.
Just our half, and when we were approving that amount, reasonable questions came up saying, well, what is that going toward? And there wasn't a definitive answer. It was, well, this is what we get invoiced. And I think from a taxpayer perspective, forget personalities and hurt feelings, from a taxpayer perspective, it's reasonable to expect to know where the tax dollars are, what they're paying for, whether that's supporting infrastructure, whether it's,
Well, this committee asked me to send questions forward after your May 5th meeting, and I did that, and I didn't get a response, so there's no answer to your questions as far as accountability of the.
Yeah, I did what you think, and I don't only have
It's
5 minutes.
his chair, you need to go through the chair.
Yeah.
we have Ms. Bailey next.
Okay, so why can the airport authority, as you are now without an airport authority, why can you not have any say if it's city and county in getting any of that information?
Well, it's not directed to me. it's
Why do you have to have an airport authority for that?
the chair.
Why we have to have an airport authority for
To
what?
get the information, all the information that you want while you're establishing an airport authority, is what you say, you want information, you never get anything back from them. Why do you have to have the airport authority? What gives you, what makes them be able to do it, and like you as commissioners or whatever?
The statutory authority, it's already been mentioned, TCA Title 42, that airport authority has statutory authority to request that information and demand that information.
Yeah, and you can't take on the liabilities also.
Well, the county's already liable.
Well,
If anything happened on that property,
but maybe in a different way.
if anything happened on that property,
but
It
that,
would, the county would be liable.
yep, that's fine,
And we have zero management over that property.
that's fine. I
Well-
just wanted to know what you could not, what, powers that gives you. That's my question, that's what, and you
Power
answered
that
it.
gives the authority? Is that your
Okay,
question?
From where it is now, from the way it is now, what powers are you granted if you
The
start an
county
airport?
executive? I'm trying to answer your question.
I don't know, you said the city and county are on this together, but we can't get any information or anything from the city. Why not? Yeah,
You can't get information
Now.
from the city on the airport right now?
yes.
Because that information is not made available to the city.
Well,
That's not.
there should be a
No,
way to
You get
get that.
expenditures, they have no idea what the revenues are.
If you own it, well, then there should be something you can do about that.
That's the point, isn't it?
No, it's not.
That's
Not
the
to make
point.
an airport authority. There should be another way to do that.
Well, so what I did in explaining things in that paper is that there's several other regional airports that we made as a comparison. There's Tullahoma, there's Fayetteville, help me out, Lawrenceburg. We kind of looked at the other regional airports because you don't want to, get over your skis and do something that other airports aren't doing. They're all managed by boards. They're managed by boards for a reason, and it's because of accountability. Now, each one of those boards, they put out electronic audits so that the public has access to it. It's just like anything else in county government. You can go on a county website, get our budget. You can do that for anybody that the county gives money to. You give money to the senior center, you get their budget, you can see all their accounting. The E911 board, if you want to get information on all their expenditures, all their expenses, their revenues, you request it, it's given to you. They also have a quarterly report that's publicized. All we're looking for is
And
consistency
you
across
can't
all
get
the
any of
entities.
that unless you make an airport authority.
That's
So
correct,
the-
because they
So
have
the city is gonna
statutory
be in the
authority.
airport authority too. I mean, I don't understand it.
We got Mr. Jones next.
Well, I had two more questions with that one.
How can we, if Randy is not giving information, supposedly not giving the information now, how is this going to be?
Well, the authority will be his statutory supervisor.
But then you need to go in and say, hey, we demand it. What happens if he?
Well, that would remain to be seen. I don't think that would come to pass, honestly.
Mrs. Bailey.
Hey, I had two more things I want to say on that. Okay, who appoints this board?
Do you want to answer or you want- Okay, so this is in the resolution. There's 5 members of an airport authority, and because it's jointly owned, 2 would be appointed by the city, 2 would be appointed by the commission, and one would be selected by those 4. So the first thing is they do, they get those 4 select one other, and the goal would be to get a variety of different backgrounds. I mean, you want people who are familiar with aviation, familiar with Title 42, familiar with the FAA, but you also want some people familiar with finance, familiar with grants, because they're going to be overseeing all of this.
Well, I don't mind having an advisory board, but an unelected board.
You've got them all over the
that-
place.
I know, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
They can
that's
be
just,
swayed.
so if you have a problem with
I'm
that,
just making my comment. I don't need a comment.
if you have a problem with that, that's not the county's problem,
I
that's
know,
the state's.
but I'm saying I'm against it.
Okay,
Because you need one person on some of these things to answer, not a group of people that can be swayed, only informational purposes.
Mr. Jones, you made your comment. Who else do we have? Ms. Bailey.
One of the questions I had is, Dr. Lathrop mentioned that it would be co-managing with,
I'm sorry.
you mentioned that it would be co-managing, you used the word co-managing with Randy, the airport authority would be co-managing. So I think my question is, if anytime you're co-managing, someone has the ultimate decision vote. Like, who is going to be the 51%, the one who makes the ultimate decisions on that? Would that be the airport authority?
First of all, the airport authority has not been chosen. It's not even been voted in. When it is voted in, It will then, members will be chosen for that. And then they will sit down and begin the process, which will take time. It's not gonna happen overnight. I think that, Bruce, is that your name? I forget.
Bruce, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that process takes a while. Now, your question is, who is given the authority? The airport authority.
No, when you said that it was, sorry,
Oh, co-management.
When
I
you
meant-
said it was
okay, by
co-managing, who has the
co-management, I meant
ultimate-
that we would have representation from the county and the city.
but when it comes to a, let's say a decision, would the airport authority have the final deciding vote, or would the manager have the final deciding vote?
Well,
On the
that would
issue?
be, who owns the airport?
The county and the city.
I'm sorry?
The county and the city.
Well, there's your answer.
So the county and city would come in and vote on any final things, and it
I'm
wouldn't be
sorry?
the airport authority?
No, they delegated that to the airport authority.
So it would be the airport
The
authority?
airport
Okay.
authority owns the airport, per se.
And then one of the other questions I have, one of the things I would say is like, I think we really do need to have an in-depth cost benefit analysis conducted before we do this, to see all costs, especially with budget issues going on. I was gonna ask the same question she did, can you not require the reports without an airport authority, such as an addendum to his contract that says you have to, as an employee, provide these reports? And that would be kind of a simple way, it seems to me, that he would have to provide the reports that you're wanting.
Well, the key thing is, since 1987, the county hasn't been involved in the contract.
We're not a party to that contract.
It could have been
And it would
how do you own
require him signing,
How do you own
is
that?
the other part, for it to be binding. Ms. Woodard was next.
Could, are these commissioners be replaced every year? Or is it gonna?
So that's a good question. It's very similar to the E911 board. So the first time you establish the board, you stagger the terms. So one person might get it in 1 year, another person would get it 2 year. So every year you'd be replacing 1 to 2 of your airport authority members.
Now, if this passes, is this gonna take place before the election?
Well, when you say take place, I think the moves would be made to start implementing it, but I don't think, I think it would be months before it was up and actually operational.
Mrs. Jones, then Mr. Jones.
I think we're gonna be spending more money in the long run if this goes through. Total expenses at these other airports, did y'all figure that out? When y'all were looking to see who else had a board that oversaw? Did y'all ask that question, Mr. Laker, Dr. Laker?
So you're asking me?
I'm asking you,
So
did you
Evan-
check
Evan,
in to
can
see
I-
who
may I-
had the?
So your
I'm not
question
asking
is?
about, I'm not asking about what the salary of the airport manager is, because we know that Randy must work 65, 70 hours, whatever, for his 36,000 plus whatever. So what does it cost to operate these other, airports that are under an authority?
Okay, now, may I answer?
Yes.
First of all, Randy gets the salary and benefits, and he gets to keep all the money he collects on.
And you do realize-
This is my time. He gets to collect all the money he collects on all the hangar rent and on the fuel sale, 100%. And he does not share that information, so what he totally makes, I don't know. As for him working, so many hours, he works as a county.
I know what he does, but
I'm
what do
working-
these
I'm-
other boards do?
Excuse me? I am,
He's not answering my question. He's not
I am
answering what I
answering your
know.
question. If you don't like the answer I give, then why don't you tell me what you want me to say? But here is my answer. Randy works for the city. He is a city employee. He puts in hours as the airport manager. He also works running his fixed base operation, which collects the hangar rent and fuel sales, etc. He also works flying jet for commercial reasons. So what time he spends at the airport as manager, and what time of it is spent for doing his FBO business and stuff, I don't have an accountant. Now, as far as other airports you asked about, do I know the numbers? I don't know them off the top of my head, but did we look at those? Yes. If you look at Lawrenceburg's airport, and you can get on site and look at their airport authority, or airport board, I think they call it, they meet monthly. They get extensive reports. You have access to them. You can see how many airplanes are there in the hangars. You can look and see what their hangar rent is. You can see what the fuel sales are. You can see all the financials. It's about a 10-page report, and I don't have it memorized, but it is available.
Okay, thank you.
We do not get anything like that from.
Okay, you don't know that's the answer, you don't know.
I,
So I'll
no, my
just-
answer is that I do not have it immediately in front
I'll
of me, but it
do
is
that.
readily
If it's
available.
readily
And did we
available,
look at that in formulating
So-
our opinion? Yes, we did.
So you do realize that, in the past, Randy has answered the question as to whatever he gets off of this or that, to the city. And they decided, yes, they did, Graham, you're shaking your head like you know something.
I
You
do,
don't.
because they're on the advisory board, and they're the ones that said
I'm
that they
talking
don't have
about
the
in the
information.
past, which was before your time.
Oh,
And
okay.
they decided at that time, this probably was under Spear, that it was not feasible for them to do any other arrangement, which would require overtime and so forth. It was more feasible and more economically favorable to the city to continue as it was. Most of the time, the county has never really asked or cared too much about what was going on with the airport.
Isn't that a problem?
You know, you get all the information, you've been able to get the information that you wanted, but just in general, I do not like boards that are unelected and not answerable to the people. That is another reason that I will be voting against this. The county representatives are elected by the people, but to put a board in place where they don't answer, I'm not in favor of it.
Mr. Savage, then, well, Dr. Lathrop, sorry, you're right, you were on the list, but you were fielding her questions. So, Dr. Lathrop, then Mr. Savage.
You want me to go, or Evan go first?
Please go ahead.
All right. Interesting thing that, a guy named Elon Musk said when, looking at, reviewing things, he thinks you protest too much, and it's like, why are people so adamantly against answering questions as to their finances? And I don't know what you're scared of, Gail, for
Not scared of
having
anything, but I
some
hate it just-
insight and oversight so that the people can have a transparent picture of what the finances in running an operation of the airport. What scares you so much about that?
I think it's a rhetorical question, but if you'd like to
No,
respond.
that's okay.
Mr. Savage.
I was just gonna say, from a logical perspective, I do not understand how a board that is appointed by elected officials is less representative than one individual. That doesn't make logical sense. He may be doing a great job, he very well may. I do agree with Dr. Lathrop's point that because he does do so many private things out of the airport, I do not know that it is feasible to understand how much time he actually spends doing the city and county's bidding as the airport manager, and how much time he spends doing his private sales. He has every right to do that, I don't have a problem with that. But I fail to see how a board that is elected by elected officials is less representative than a single individual who does his own accounting and sometimes provides it and sometimes doesn't.
Thank you.
And also, I would like to vote on this issue at some point soon.
All right. Well, if you have a motion to that effect.
Well, I was trying not to call a question again, because I was trying to be polite, but I would glad to make a motion to call a question now, if somebody would like to second it.
Second.
You have to have a second on the call to question and you have to vote on it.
All right, so we have a motion and second. We'll do a roll call vote, just on calling the question.
On the question.
On calling the question, Mr. Jones. That was a yes. Mrs. Jones,
I'm gonna say that.
all right. Ms. Woodard,
Yes.
Mr. Reedy, who is, Mr. Savage,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
And I'll vote no, but it still prevails. Did I miss someone? Yeah, Ms. Guthrie.
Yeah, you did. No.
All right.
You had something to say.
I did have something I wanted to ask, but she's been
All right, roll call vote on the resolution. Does calling the question remove public comment? Okay.
That's done too. I do think the public.
I do think the public has had ample time to weigh in as well.
Yeah, it cancels out everything. You have to move forwards.
All right, well, that being the case, we'll do a roll call vote on the resolution itself.
Is there any way I can change my? I'm asking, okay?
Question is whether you can change his vote
I'm asking.
on call the question. It's already happened.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh,
See, you left and you didn't know that Courtney
I
was.
know.
I know.
All right, so on the resolution itself, following a constructive, I think, conversation, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Jones,
No.
Mrs. Jones,
No.
Mrs. Guthrie,
No.
Mrs. Woodard,
I abstain.
Mr. Savage,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
It makes perfect sense to me, yes.
I agree, and I'll vote yes as well. For the reason stated in the meeting, that ends up being a tie. So after all that, we have a draw, and either way, it's gonna go to full commission to be top. And Mr. Heath, I will say, the meeting is on January 20th.
Oh, I'm sorry, January
And I think I misstated it, honestly. It's the 20th at 9 a.m. in the courthouse upstairs. It's a Tuesday. They're normally on Monday nights, but this Monday is Martin Luther King Day, so it falls to the next morning. Motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Brown. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
A question to be asked would be, as a private business owner, do you have to tell what your profits are?